and be further complicated by lack of understanding of the legal implications of our actions and inactions within domestic relations. Together, let's explore the legal and social issues that impact our marriages and families and gain a deeper understanding of how to navigate these complex relationships with empathy, wisdom, and legal awareness. Join Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja for an intimate conversation in our family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse. Late Night Intercourse, only on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja. It's all about you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's episode of your enlightening family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse. On tonight's episode of Late Night Intercourse, I'm coming live to you as always from your favorite radio station, People's 105.5 FM, Abuja, the station that's all about you. It is, as always, your host, Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, bringing you a conversation, an enlightening discussion on the topic I have framed as protecting the maternal health rights of the baby-making machines as humans and not as machines, And before I delve into that and explain what that is about, what I mean by that, and why it is an important conversation for us to have, particularly in this month of March, as we round up the commemoration of International Women's Day, which happens every March. And though it is officially marked on the 8th of March, it is a month-long affair. And part of what I have done through the month, particularly in my reels that I've posted across social media and in some of the conversations I've hosted on this platform, is to enlighten us on those things that affect women, just because we are spotlighting on women this month. So, and this is going to be like a grand finale on that conversation, with us touching on the rights of our baby-making machines. Because sometimes that's how women are treated and not necessarily as humans. So we'll be interrogating that, and I'll be enlightening you on what the law says, some of the rights available to them. If you're not already following us across social media, please quickly do that. Follow us on Facebook at 105.5 FM Abuja. Then you can follow us on Instagram at peoplesfm_Abuja, and also on X at People's 105.5 FM. You can also follow me on Facebook as Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, same as LinkedIn. On Instagram and TikTok, it is the Zest Family Lawyer, and on X, it is ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, at ONYENUCHEYA-UKO. So quickly follow. And like I tell you every week, this is supposed to be, an intercourse. It's supposed to be symbiotic between the both of us. I raise the topic, and I'm also open to taking topics that you send to me. If there's any topic you'd like for us to discuss, whatever it is, so long as it is related to family law, so long as it is something that impacts on family relationships, on the rights of persons within the family, or some of those things that just affect our well-being in the home, do not hesitate to and bring it to my attention, and I'll be more than happy to share thoughts, educate and enlighten on it. So, but every week, every Thursday at 9 p.m., I bring you a fresh episode of Late Night Intercourse, and it is all geared towards helping you manage those domestic relationships, your marital relationships, your family relationships, from a place of empathy, wisdom, and legal awareness. So, back to the conversation today. I said we're looking at how to protect the maternal health rights of our baby making machines as humans, because that's what our women are. They are humans, regardless gender. They are humans, just as the men. And of course, baby making is not exclusive to the woman, because it takes fertilization for baby making to, happen. So to that extent, it happens, both the man and the woman are maybe do I say participants now in that business. So yes, I acknowledge that. But the journey of a woman in childbirth, in baby making, is a whole 9 months journey. And in the course of that 9 months journey, there are a lot of health risks that woman faces in trying to bring to life, the future of humanity, the future of our society. All of humanity is the proceed of a woman. So, and this onerous task, this great task of birthing life, is not a task that we should treat with levity. So while others may not be participating in that process as a woman is in any given time, the woman deserves the support of society. The woman deserves the care, the support of the family, of her spouse. And one of those needs, one of those care that a woman especially needs in that time is health care. That's one of the motives that continue to project maternal mortality at very high figures, particularly in Nigeria. It is important that we look at some of those rights available to a woman, so that as members of her family, as spouses, being husbands, we're able to lend support to the woman. And also as medical care providers, we ensure that the woman gets the best possible care she can as she does the duty that nature has foisted on her. So, and I do not want to bore us with the statistics. There are staggering statistics from many platforms, but all of those statistics are frightening. None of them is placates one at all. There is no statistics I encountered in the course of preparing for this conversation that I found comforting. All of it means that women lose lives as they try to bring to life another human, and it is not something that should continue. And you also find that in some cases, the reason why women lose lives may not even be because of medical negligence or something that the hospitals did or failed to do. Sometimes it is even from the abuse that these women suffer within their domestic places. It could be because of abusive husbands, abusive in-laws, just things that are toxic to the life, to the peace, to the well-being of that woman in that state. And any or all of those things amount to abuse. They all amount to a violation of that woman's right to life. So we will be dealing with the first right that is available, to a woman that is pregnant. Yes, it is not exclusive to her, but it is available to every pregnant woman, just as it is available to the rest of society. So if we realize that one of the rights available to a woman is the right to life, it then means that it will be a violation or a threat to that right to life when anybody puts her in a situation that endangers her life, including inflicting maybe any bodily harm on her, battery, whether spousal or otherwise, anything that may threaten her life is a violation of her right. Again, I'll repeat, I know it is not a right that is specific to her, and most of the rights I'll be discussing tonight are not specific to pregnant women, but the torchlight, the spotlight, the focus tonight is on our baby making machines, the mothers, the women that bring to life, the rights we owe them, the things we can do differently as a society and as members of a family, whether as a spouse, as an in-law, or just, members of a household, whatever role you play in that household. And maybe before I get into those rights, really, I had already mentioned right to life, but before I explore the rest of the spectrum that I want to talk about tonight, I think it may be best that I start with discussing some of the key issues that affect maternal rights, or maternal health rather. Yes, some of the key issues that affect it. And this one may not be something that is is not a blame that can be put at the doorstep of families, but there is poor healthcare infrastructure in Nigeria, and unfortunately the few facilities that have premium health care services are usually expensive, and because they are expensive, not every woman can afford to patronize those services. Not every family can afford to patronize those services. So to that extent, yes, we admit that even when family members have done their bit, it is also possible that things may go south because of the poor health infrastructure that we have in Nigeria. And just as I had mentioned that the available facilities that can offer quality healthcare service usually come at exorbitant rates. So financial barriers is the other reason why sometimes the health of a woman, the health of a pregnant woman is put unreasonably or unfairly at risk. So those are some of the things, and maybe that's one of the reasons why it may be important that both for the woman who is contemplating childbirth and for her family, particularly her spouse, it may be important that we begin to deliberately plan for childbirth. Instead of the usual, yes, children are a gift from God. That is a truth, a constant truth. But while being a gift from God, we also know that his gifts are not supposed to, cause us any sorrow. So we should be deliberate in planning for the receipt of that gift before we take that gift, or as we plan to receive that gift. We should plan the necessary logistics for the care of that child. I'm not going to exempt mothers from this duty of planning, because it's not going to be a duty that is left only for the men. Yes, the men are usually the head of the families, but even then, as the Igbos will say, I'm an Igbo girl, the Igbos will say that whoever can afford to bury the father should. After all, it's not the first son that killed him, So it then follows that every member of the family, or every adult member of the family, can share in the responsibility of deliberately preparing for the birth of a child, such that issues like financial obligations for that service doesn't pose a barrier. And then, of course, government can also do better by helping set up healthcare service centers that will meet the needs of patients, particularly pregnant women, so that we do not continue to lose the lives of women in the course of bringing to life. Then the other thing are the cultural barriers and the cultural biases that we see every day. You hear some very ridiculous stories, including tales like a woman is pregnant and maybe her doctor has advised a CS procedure for the safe delivery of that child, and some people will say no, it is an abomination to put to birth through a CS, that the only birth that is honorable, that is good, is the birth that is natural, a virginal birth. And some of these things have their roots in culture. Some of them have their roots in warped religious beliefs, So those are some of the things that pose a risk. And then you find that a woman who is pregnant, instead of being able to subscribe to expert medical opinion and treatment, she begins to subscribe to options that are not proven, options that are not safe, options that are just speculative, which oftentimes leave them exposed to risks. And sometimes the baby is lost or the mother is also lost. And in some cases where they are not, where death doesn't occur, avoidable health complications arise. So I think cultural biases are some of the challenges. And maybe alongside that, I also talk about gender biases, particularly in the line of maybe child marriages. You find a girl who is not fully formed, a girl who is still developing and not ripe for the business of bringing another life, bringing to birth of another life. She's exposed or subjected to that very, very serious business. That can expose her to things like VVF and the rest of them. And those are a threat to the life of a girl and the woman. So those are some of the challenges, including those who will go to visit, the traditional birth attendants. You go there and they say, no, our family, we have somebody. In fact, there is a procedure in our family. If it is the first baby, it must be attended to. The elderly women in the family will come together to attend to her, or we have to take her to a traditional birth attendant who will observe the necessary rites to ensure that, all those things are unfair. They are repugnant practices. They are practices that put the life of a woman at risk unfairly. And those are some of the ways that, we infringe on the rights of our women, of our pregnant women, forgetting maybe that their rights are human rights. So I was talking about the legal framework. I was talking about some of the rights available to pregnant women. And I already made the point that it's not specific to pregnant women, yes, or most of them are not specific to pregnant women, yes. But I need to spotlight them all towards accelerating action for the protection of the rights of women. And I am particularly interested tonight on the rights of pregnant women, because they are a demographic that are doing society, the whole of society, a great service. So we've spoken about Section 33 of the Nigerian Constitution on the right to life, and anything that poses a risk to the life, to the well-being of a pregnant woman is an affront to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So her right to life is human life and must be respected and preserved at all times. Then we also have certain international instruments that Nigeria has ratified. Nigeria is signatory to. And these instruments, including the protocols to these instruments, and promote the rights of women. And I'll particularly talk about the Maputo Protocol, which protects the right of the woman, including her health and her reproductive rights. So it still goes to say that when a woman is exposed to any maybe domestic violence or any infraction of her rights within medical facilities where she is seeking to source treatment, medical care for her state, all of those infringe on this right and can indeed be pursued legally. Then we have the National Health Act. We have the National Health Act, and the National Health Act is a law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that stipulates certain rights that are available to persons who are patronizing healthcare services, including, provisions as to a structure to oversight the implementations of these things and a whole lot more, So, and if we look at the provisions of the National Healthcare Act, if we look at the provisions under Section 20, it talks about emergency medical care being available to persons who subscribe to medical care. Again, this is not specific to pregnant women, but it becomes more compelling to a pregnant woman, and I think that is commonsensical, and because I'm spotlighting them today, I am narrowing this conversation to them. What it then means is that if a woman is pregnant and goes to seek healthcare service from any healthcare facility, she has a right to emergency care. And it will not matter that she's unable in that moment to maybe make a prescribed deposit or things like that. She's entitled to that emergency care. Because if you look at it, a deprivation of that right in that moment when she may not be in the right state or right frame to make a necessary payment or something of the like is a threat to that right to life, which is a constitutional life right that she has. So it is important, I maybe need to reiterate it over and again, that a woman's duty to birth life, a woman's duty to give birth to a child is not only a benefit for herself, but it is a benefit to humanity, to all of us, because life needs to continue on earth. Life needs to continue in our society. And because we know that there is a circle to life, though we may not determine how old anybody will live before they die, but there is a circle to life. There is birth and there is death. So if we do not continue to have women bring to birth the children, birth new children, birth children, it then means that we are threatening the existence or the continuous existence of humanity. So anytime a woman puts to bed, anytime a woman gives birth to a child, from the point where she conceives to the point when she births that blessing, it is a gift to all of us, a gift to society, a gift to humanity, because that is it is a fresh assurance that the human race will continue in existence. So it is important that we note and understand that a woman has a right to emergency medical care. And that also means that anybody who refuses to allow her explore or enjoy that right is posing a risk to her right to life, whether it is the medical personnel or maybe a member of her family, including husbands who may say no, it's against our practice for her to receive this or that. Except that woman has elected by herself to say, no, I do not subscribe to this treatment, none other can do it in her stead if it poses a risk to her life. And maybe dovetailing from that, I'll be talking about the right to informed consent. So it means that a pregnant woman, because that is the focus of the conversation, is entitled to informed, relevant knowledge that will enable her give informed consent to whatever treatment that has been prescribed for her. So if the treatment regimen is such that she needs to go through a procedure, she needs to undertake, whatever it is, whatever that regimen stipulates or encompasses, she needs to be it needs to be explained to her, the procedures, the treatment, the risks, the cost, the implications, including even if she says, okay, no, I don't want it, what are the likely implications of that refusal? She needs it has to be explained to her. You don't just tell a pregnant woman that, oh, we know you're pregnant, okay, so the doctor has decided that you have to go through CS, just using that as a random example. No, it's not up to anybody to just decide. Neither can it also be said that your husband has requested that you must have a vaginal birth, regardless if it is what she wants or not. And maybe because somebody has elected for that, it is then forced down her throat. The act provides that she is entitled to. So in fact, it is a duty on the medical personnel to explain it to her why A, B, C, D treatment or procedure has been suggested or prescribed or recommended by her medical service providers, and the cost or the implications of that treatment. So that is critical. We must take note. Nobody can just unilaterally tell a pregnant woman that, no, you're going to go through this, or you have to be placed on XYZ maybe medications, without the reason, the cost, the options, the implications, the risks, the benefits being fully explained to her, so that she can get, her informed consent can be gotten. Again, I'll repeat that it does not suffice that her husband understands it, or that her father or mother understands it and they have given their approval. She is the user of that service. She is the one who is going to suffer or benefit from the implications or the result of that choice. So long as she's an adult, and because of the business of tonight, the subject of tonight, I do not imagine that we're discussing about persons under the age of 18. So it means that since our law says that sexual intercourse cannot happen with a person under the age of 18, so it naturally follows that pregnancy cannot happen to a person under the age of 18, or lawful, let's say lawful pregnancy cannot happen to a person under the age of 18. So that person must have a right, that woman must have a right to choose for herself the service that she's comfortable with. And the other thing that is usually a breach, and it is indeed a violence, is that breach of confidentiality which we sometimes hear about. A woman is assessing a treatment or has subscribed to a treatment, and then her health status, maybe the treatment that is available to her or that she's undergoing, all of those is disclosed to a third party. And forgive me, yes, marriage or childbirth happens between two people, typically a man and a woman, whether as husband and wife or as partners, typically, right? And because of that, there is a presumption that they are a couple, they are a pair, they are a unit in that business. But that being the case, it does not then impose an automatic right on the man to access confidential information about the woman without the woman's consent. It is up to that woman to disclose it to the man, or for that woman to grant consent for all of that to be shared with the man or to be disclosed to the man. Where you have not obtained that consent, or where the man has not obtained the consent from his wife, it will be unlawful for the hospital or that service provider to disclose it to the man or to anybody else. There are cases where maybe the woman has a medical condition. Yes, it is also wrong and indeed unlawful for her to be deceitful to her husband or to her partner. That the person can cite them for deceit and take whatever decision they want to take. on the premise of that. But that is another right entirely that is open to that man. It does not extinguish the woman's right to confidentiality of the information she has shared with the healthcare service providers. So it then means that when a woman is pregnant, whether she has any exposure to sugar, to high blood pressure, to this or any of that pregnant women may sometimes be susceptible to, it is her prerogative to share it with who she wants to share it with. It is not the prerogative of the service provider or even to a third party who is related to her by marriage or by whatever other means to procure that information without her consent. It is a violation of her right. And sometimes it may even pose an abuse of her right to the dignity of her person, depending on how that information may be. So if it's not something she wants to share, she reserves a right not to share it. So you cannot share any information that is related to her status, her health status, or the treatment she's undergoing, or her duration in the hospital, or any of those kind of things. No, it's not your business to share that, except maybe the patient is a minor. If she's a minor, then yes. But then again, I explained that for tonight we are discussing pregnant women, so a minor will not qualify as a patient in the context of this conversation. And then maybe the other exceptions will be where a person may not be able to by themselves grant consent, maybe because of the state of their health. Imagine somebody in coma, for example. Imagine somebody who is suffering some form of dementia or some other mental health challenge, and they cannot give that consent for the information to be released to a third party. Then those are some of the instances where the person can then be lawfully permitted to divulge the information in furtherance of seeking treatment or seeking consent for treatment for that patient, including also maybe where not disclosing that information will pose a serious health risk. And I'll give an easy example. If you remember, during the outbreak of Ebola some years ago in Nigeria, there was the news report that a certain foreigner had come into Nigeria and was manifesting symptoms of the Ebola disease. And upon admission in a hospital, the person didn't want to abide by the medical personnel's prescription for an admission in the hospital. The person wanted to continue on a journey, and they said, no, you can't continue because the health challenge, the ailment that you're manifesting is such that can become a public risk to a large majority of people. And when he insisted, the news, that information was released to the appropriate authorities and eventually became public. So that kind of person cannot say, assuming that person were a pregnant woman, she cannot turn around and say, you had no right to disclose my medical status. No, because it would have otherwise posed a health risk to the public. It was excusable, it was permissible in that context, to make that disclosure. And then of course, the person can also by themselves grant a consent to the hospital or to the person for that disclosure to be made. But the law says that it has to be in writing. So you can't just say that the person said, but you told us that we could. No. There is no telling, because if you also look at it, it is possible that telling happened under duress. That's not to say that people can't write under duress, but that's a more, writing is not something that would happen as easily as somebody just telling because maybe they were forced, just say this, and they said it. So, and then we also know that our laws, the Constitution particularly, provides for right to protection from discrimination. So what it means is that whether a pregnant woman is married or not, whether her financial status permits or not, whether she comes from a certain religious or cultural background or not, anything that discriminates against her in her bid to procure or subscribe to any necessary healthcare service or treatment will be an affront to the law, because the law says that nobody can be discriminated against on the basis of their gender, status, ethnicity, all of those. So it is inconsequential that she is single but pregnant. It is inconsequential that she is indigent and pregnant. It is inconsequential that she is of any faith or creed or religion. None of those matter. She has as much a right to qualitative health care service just as anybody else, because again, she is entitled, just as her right to the protection from discrimination, as also her right to life. So she is fully entitled to qualitative Medicare and should not be discriminated against. As we continue the conversation, if you are not already following us across social media, quickly do that before we continue. Our account handles on Facebook is 105.5 FM Abuja, or on Instagram People's FM _Abuja, and on X it is at People's 105.5 FM. You can also follow my personal account on Facebook. It is Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, and same as on LinkedIn, and on Instagram and TikTok it is the Zest Family Lawyer. You can also follow on X at ONYENUCHEYA-UKO. When we return from this short break, I'll be giving you the numbers to call to ask your question, share your opinion, or maybe just share an experience. Don't go away.
People's 105.5 FM.
The roots of the issues that affect our marriages and families often lie in social nuances, mindsets, customs, and conventions. This can be further complicated by lack of understanding of the legal implications of our actions and inactions within domestic relations. Together, let's explore the legal and social issues that impact our marriages and families and gain a deeper understanding of how to navigate these complex relationships with empathy, wisdom, and legal awareness. Join Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja for an intimate conversation in our family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse. Late Night Intercourse, only on the People's 105.5 FM Abuja. It's all about you.
Thank you for staying with us. It is still your enlightening family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse, with Chioma ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, the Zest Family Lawyer. And as always, we are coming live to you from People's 105.5 FM Abuja, the station that's all about you. And on every episode of the Late Night Intercourse, as you may already know, we bring you enlightening conversations on topics that affect family and marital relationships, and it is all geared towards helping you handle those issues from a place of wisdom, empathy, and legal awareness. So, since this evening, we have been discussing subject of protecting the maternal health rights of our women, our baby making machines, because they're not machines. I simply use that to catch your attention. They are humans, and those rights have to be protected as human rights. And because marriage one of the core reasons for marriage, beyond companionship and the intimacy that marriage affords the parties, is the need for reproduction, to have children. And because it is one of the serious business of marriages or families, that is why we are having this conversation, looking at how to protect our women and how to make a case for ensuring that we do not continue to have the high rates of maternal mortality that we hear about on a steady across news platforms. And I had mentioned to us that the statistics are not comforting at all. The statistics on maternal mortality, particularly in Nigeria, are frightening, across platforms. And I had taken us through some of the reasons why many women may face those risks, and I was now discussing some of the legal provisions that empower the protection on the respect of the maternal health rights of women. And I have already asked that for those who are not following us on social media, that you please quickly follow us, so that we continue to keep you abreast of our conversations and you get opportunity to learn from our engaging conversations. And please, it is an intercourse. It is a two-way traffic. It's not just me talking. It is you listening and also sharing your thoughts as feedback. It may also be you asking a question that stimulates further enlightenment, or it could be you sharing an experience that we can all learn from. So if you have a question, a thought, or an experience that you'd like to share, the number to call will be 091 12 22 1055. It is 091 12 22 1055. You may also call us on 091 11 12 1055. I'll repeat, 091 11 12 1055. And if you have any conversation that you would like for us to explore, is there any topic that agitates your mind, or that you have questions on, or that you just think more people should be enlightened about, don't hesitate to share that topic with us, and we'll be happy to discuss it, dissect it on an episode of the Late Night Intercourse. And you can send that suggestion to us by email, and our email address is latenightintercourse@gmail.com. latenightintercourse@gmail.com. If you send any topic suggestion, we will take it on an episode of Late Night Intercourse, and hopefully we will all get enlightened in dissecting that topic that you will be proposing. We're looking forward to reading from you. So, talking about some of those rights, I had just finished talking about the right to dignity and non-discrimination. That's what I just spoke about before we went on that short break. Now, the next right I would like to talk about, it is not a right that inures to a person while they are alive, but it is a right that is activated upon death. Now, we are hopeful. It is our desire and prayer that we do not lose women as they bring to birth. It is the prayer, and it is the utmost desire of the anchor of this program. But just for purposes of enlightenment, where death happens, a person is entitled to, a post-mortem examination if they so choose. Assuming for some reason they are suspicious that it appears the people that live with me in this house, or my spouse, or something, or even the health service provider, it's just there is an uncanny suspicion that somebody is up to no good, or something is amiss, there's something off. They have a right in their lifetime to state or to authorize or to even demand that if death occurs, that their body, be subjected to a post-mortem to determine the cause of death. And that is a right or a provision, an option that is provided for under Section 58 of the National Health Rights. So it means that a person by themselves while alive, maybe while making a will or as a codicil to their will, or by some other medium that can, a trusted medium that can be verified, they can actually stipulate that if death happens to them, maybe in the course of that treatment or for some other reason, that their bodies be subjected to a post-mortem. Just so, and this can just be because they are suspicious of something. It can just be because of circumstances before their death. It can be for any reason. But regardless what the reason is, the act provides for that. So that person can indeed make that demand even before they die. So upon death, once it is verified that they were the ones who requested or who demanded that their bodies be subjected to an autopsy, they will be entitled to that even at death. And beyond them, there are also persons within the family who can be entitled to making that request. And it will then include, their spouse. Yes, the husband of a dead pregnant woman or a woman who died while giving, bringing to birth a child is entitled to requesting a post-mortem. Then the child of that woman is also entitled to requesting a post-mortem. But it must be that that child is at least 18 years and above. So if that child is a minor, that child will not qualify to make that request. So I'm careful in giving the order. So while there are multiple people who have that right, their rights are not equal. So it means that a person, or there is a priority in the ranking of that right, and I'm following the priority of that ranking. It means that the priority right will lie with the spouse of that deceased pregnant woman or a woman bringing to birth. So what it also means is that, God forbid, if it is a situation where the woman's death is caused by maybe domestic violence that is inflicted upon her by that spouse, you will agree with me that that spouse is not likely to accept or consent to any request made for a post-mortem on that woman, in the fear that it will reveal the cause of death as being a domestic violence or something that he may have inflicted. So he's not likely to consent, which then means that the woman having that right while alive may also utilize it in her advantage by making that request. Of course, sometimes people believe that when you talk about death, it is an entreaty to death, it is an invitation to death. That is not the truth. Not talking about death doesn't keep away death. Death can just happen. It is a natural course of life, except that sometimes it happens by unnatural means, but it is a natural course of life. So talking about it doesn't invite it. All talking about it or taking actions, against it or for, in preparation for it does is that it allows a person to handle their affairs as they would want to handle it, and not leave their affairs to the whims and caprices of another who they may not even trust, or they may not even be assured have their best interests at heart. So It can be by the spouse, it can be by their child, it can also be by their parents, in that order, or by a guardian, where they had a guardian at the time. It can be a guardian or a parent, but of course a parent will take precedence over a guardian. It can also be by their brother or their sister, in that order. So any of those people who of course must be above the age of 18 may make that request, and then a post-mortem examination may be carried out on the deceased. And the person, I'm not talking about the deceased now, because we're talking about pregnant women, expectant mothers, or those who are put into bed. That's who we're talking about. That's the focus of our conversation tonight, like I said it from the beginning. So I'm now saying that where there is anything that is an infraction, that is a violation, an affront to any of these rights, they are entitled to legal redress. They can seek legal redress, and the courts will give them justice. I understand that sometimes people may not be able to afford these legal services, and maybe that is why we'll now talk about some of the barriers to accessing qualitative health care and also justice. And at the top of that, which is why we're having this conversation today, is a lack of awareness. A lot of people are not aware. They do not know that certain laws exist, or there are certain provisions of laws. They are not aware. And while ignorance of the law is not an excuse, ignorance of the law can pose a huge deprivation to us, to any of us. What one does not know usually is above them. So if a person do not know, is not aware that they have XYZ right, they are not likely to assert their right to enjoying it. So lack of awareness is at the core of the reason why a lot of women are deprived of their maternal health care rights, and also sometimes deprived of their access to justice, because they are not aware, they don't know what the law provides for or what they are entitled to. The other thing will be the weak enforcement of these laws. And because it is a law that is beneficial to the person, to the individual, it then means that where the individual does not complain, the state may not realize a need to enforce that law at expense to the state. So poor enforcement is one other reason why these things happen. Even where we find medical negligence, or even domestic violence situations that expose women to violations of these rights, pregnant women to these violations, there is poor enforcement of the provisions of our laws, which poses a barrier to the enjoyment of these rights by women. And then there are those women who will I call it maybe they're just afraid of stigmatization. They don't want people to say, that woman, she too dey give wahala, she's a difficult woman, everything she will complain, that woman likes court. Can you imagine that woman even dragged her in-laws to court? Can you imagine that woman took the hospital? Some people feel that they may get stigmatized by there's that thing about a person who is assertive, a person who knows their rights and is assertive in defense of their rights is easily referred to as a difficult person. And some people don't like that stigmatization, or even the fact that maybe in pursuit of that right, certain details of their health status may be exposed, may be revealed in the course of that contest. And maybe those that their health status is something they fear they may be stigmatized about. So that is also one of the reasons. And of that you typically make them afraid to speak up, reluctant to speak up. So it then continues to fuel the culture of silence, and they just suffer in silence. And the other thing will also be maybe closely related to poor enforcement will also be the protracted or the slow grinding nature of the justice sector, where the person is willing to go to court. The judicial delays, our dockets are full, cases are adjourned for long intervals. That can also cause them to be wary. They may not want to continue to pursue justice in those kind of situations. So those are some of the barriers, and I think that as a way of coming to a wrap, the solutions that I would like to profile to ensure that our women, our wives, our mothers, our sisters enjoy utmost protection in the period of pregnancy, as they bring to life, as they birth children, as they continue to sustain humanity and sustain our society. It is important that we know the rights of the women. And speaking directly to the women themselves, it is important that you know your rights. If you know your rights, you're more likely to assert it. You're more likely to protect it. You're more likely to defend it. And if your family members, if those around you, if the healthcare service providers, if they are also aware of the rights you have, chances are that they will not be as quick or as willing to, violate those rights. So knowledge sometimes can be a deterrent to wrongdoings. When people are informed, even including the implications or the possible liabilities that they may suffer by any infraction of those laws, they are likely to be deterred from, setting out to violate the law. So knowing your rights or knowing the rights of pregnant women will help us protect them better. Then we must document abuses. We must document abuses, whether those abuses happen in the home or they happen in the hospital or they happen in whatever setting, including discriminatory violations, those violations of discrimination that may happen in any setting, wherever. We should document them. You know that when you are going to allege, whatever it is you allege, you must prove. And because you must prove, if you don't document it in some form, it may be difficult, it may be futile. That effort to prove may just be a futile effort. You may not succeed. So it is important that you document the abuses. If you need to record them, record them. However you need to note them, note them. Anyhow that you can capture and document, please capture and document. Whether by messages, by record, by however, document those abuses. Then speak up and seek redress. Even if you can't afford to seek redress by yourself, you can speak to certain entities that can help you. And because we are focused on pregnant women today, one of those entities you can talk to is the International Federation of Women Lawyers, and they're spread across the states of the federation. So depending on where you live, if you're in the FCT, you can talk to FIDA, and FIDA can support you in getting redress. Beyond just going to the courts, they're still part of the court. If it's an infraction by a healthcare service provider, there is the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and there is also the CCPT, which is the tribunal that hears such cases. So you can speak. If you don't speak up, you are not likely to get anybody who can grant you redress. So these are some of the things you can do. And then I think for the rest of society, we can continue to spread this knowledge. As you have heard this, talk to your sister, talk to your brother, talk to your neighbors, talk to those within your sphere, and share this knowledge that you gained tonight. and that will be ways of, helping to ensure that our women are protected in pregnancy as they do the communal duty of, sustaining life in our world. I think this will be a good place to rest it. And I'm thankful that you were with us all through this enlightening session. And I hope that next time you are able to call in. Even if you have no question, share a thought. Because I know there's something that you will share that may impact positively on another person. And it can also be that experience, that serves as a practical example of what we are talking about or what we are, advocating against. Whichever it is, please call in and share. Looking forward to seeing you same time next week, same station. As always, it is good night from here from Chioma, ONYENUCHEYA-UKO, the Zest family lawyer. Bye-bye.